and I wanted to share with you my latest painting. It's a self-portrait. I've done several over the years, and I wanted to share this one and some stories about the other ones I've done. I haven't painted a self-portrait in about 10 years, so I thought it was time to paint another one. I quite often put myself in crowd scenes that I paint. I'm the artist in the crowd. Now, this background has an interesting tale. I'm going to share that with you. I think you'll find it very interesting. The background is a discarded painting palette from one of my artist friends. Rather than cleaning the old paint off, she just throws the messy palette away. I thought the texture and the shapes were interesting, so I decided to use it as a background for one of my more abstract paintings. In this case, a self-portrait showing 3 different angles of my face. So this is my latest self-portrait, but there were others, and their stories are varied, and I believe some are very interesting. Over the years, I have come to believe that good art has good stories. This was my first big self-portrait. The newspaper article shows me working on one of the figures in a 24-foot mural that I painted on the high school cafeteria wall in 1958. I was the model for that pensive student. In my college art studies, portraits were often the assignment. This is one of my early quick sketches. It even looks a little like me. This life-size drawing was in the style of one of my favorite artists, Leonard Baskin, from England, and considered one of the more popular artists of the 1950s. Here I am balancing on a chair in this woodcut print, a pencil drawing from my senior year. I always liked the story behind this drawing. The class assignment was to create a drawing in the German Expressionist style, and the class would judge the art and determine your grade. I posed for all 3 figures. My theme was, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. A philosophy I really appreciate and would use often in my art. The class thought I had not captured the essence of the German Expressionist style and determined the drawing deserved a grade of D. I think they were trying to tell me something. I did manage to paint a self-portrait in my last year of college. It started out as a full-figure study, but got cut down to a portrait. It looks like I had put on a few pounds. That's because I had spent the previous summer as a tour escort, traveling all over the country, visiting one first-class restaurant after the other. The Army was waiting for me right after college, but I did manage to serve in the U.S. Army Exhibit Unit as their mural painter. Thank you, high school mural. In my off hours, I knocked out this self-portrait. After about 5 years of learning the business of being an artist, I missed that course in school, I ended up in a little artist community that was the birthplace of Kansas City. We called it the River Quay. Quay is a French word for landing. That's where the riverboats landed. I painted a lot of pictures of my wonderful little village with me in them. In my first Christmas in the River Quay, I sent out this etching as my Christmas card. I painted me in my new studio, sitting on the couch, looking at you with this painting hanging on the back wall. In 1976, I was off to California looking for new adventures. I was fascinated by the ever-changing patterns in the ocean, and I wanted to paint them. I used my familiar artist pose with my brother and his current lady friend, who he thought looked like Botticelli's Venus of the Shell. I like this little dry point etching that I made when I first moved to San Diego in the late 1970s. Etchings were very popular in the 70s and 80s, and I created a lot of them. Another very popular print in the 70s and 80s was the serigraph. I love the story about this one. My brother, who enticed me to move to California, was very much into marketing his health clubs. He handed out plaques with positive sayings on them to his club members. The one I really like is the idea that tearing down others is only a cheap way of trying to build yourself up. I added my favorite characters, hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. I was speak no evil. Also, the textures in the two men are letters that express famous positive sayings. I believe this message is of particular value in today's society. My familiar artist pose also made it to a 12-foot painting for one of the lobbies in the Coronado Hotel in San Diego. That's the hotel on the edge of the beach. Just before I exited California to return to the Midwest, about 1989, I created my first book, Sailing Impressions, and this self-portrait was on the opening page. My second book, Eureka Springs Impressions, 2010, has paintings and stories of my little town and many of her residents. I painted myself in this scene getting comments from friendly visitors. In 2009, quite a while since my last face portrait, I created this colored sketch. And 10 years later, my latest attempt with the abstract background. You can see more of my paintings at larrymansker.com.